quilty friends, it's Carolina Moore, your favorite sewing and quilting YouTuber, and we're going to talk about some project prep today. Specifically, we're going to talk about the Mini Quilt Advent calendar, but this could apply to all different kinds of projects, so even if you're not joining in on Mini Quilt Advent today, I think you're going to enjoy this video. Let's get started. So project prep, especially when we're working on bigger projects like an Advent or a block of the month, but even when you're working on smaller projects, is really about making sure that you have your materials here ready to go for when you want to start your project. This is key for, yes, when you're working on a big project, but also things like going on retreats, making sure that you've packed everything you need, making sure that you have everything that you need and you're ready to go. So first, let's talk about our fabric. Depending on which Mini Quilt Advent you're doing, if you're doing the 12-day or if you're doing the 24-day, you will need either a fat quarter bundle or a half-yard bundle. But how do you pre-prep that fabric? You could just take your fabric and press all the pieces flat so that you don't have those wrinkles in there, but I actually prefer to starch my fabrics. So here I have my fabrics all starched and ready to go. And so they're a little bit stiffer and they're nice and smooth. I have starched them and I've pressed them. I will have a link down in the description as well as at the end of this video and right up here if you want to skip over there right now for how I starch my fabric. If you don't want to watch that whole video, basically I use spray starch. I lay down a towel or I do it on a countertop like this. I spray it until it's completely damp. I hang it to dry. Once it's dry, then I can press my pieces and I have my pieces ready to go. I'm starting off with the 12-day Mini Quilt Advent, so I have just the fat quarters here. As long as we're looking at our fabrics, let's also check out our backing fabric and our binding. When we're starting a project, it's always great to pre-purchase our backing and our binding so we have that ready to go. Also, it's going to encourage us to actually finish the project. How many times have we finished a quilt top and said, I don't really have any backing fabric for it. Nah, I'll figure it out. And then we never figure it out, and then we never actually finish the project. So having our binding fabric and our backing fabric at least already purchased is amazing. Bonus if we can even prep our binding. We know that we're doing this project specifically over the holidays. Holidays are going to be a busy time. We can actually already cut our binding into our preferred strip sizes. So some people like 2 inches, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, whatever your preferred strip size is, you can already cut and prep your binding so that when you get to the end of this month and you're ready to finish up your quilt, your binding ready to go, no worries. I love having that done. I have this whole conversation about like present me, past me, and future me. And if present me gets that binding ready to go ahead of time, future me is going to be so appreciative. So if you want, you can also prep your binding. Let's talk about tools. You know you're going to be getting a template every single day, and we can't pre-prep those templates at all, but we can go ahead and make sure that we have a ruler for squaring up. We know the size of our blocks. It's already been announced. It's going to be 4 1/2 inches finished or 5 inches squared. So the glow ruler is a perfect ruler for that. If you want to splurge and get yourself a glow ruler, this squares up to 6 inches. So it's perfect for a 4 1/2 inch finished, which would square up at 5 inches. So if you want to splurge, you can get yourself a glow ruler and have that for squaring up your blocks. Or if you just want to go with the 5-inch square from the kit, if you did this as an add-on on your kit, you can go ahead and already peel off the backing paper on this and get this ready to go. So this is a great ruler, whether or not you are participating in the Mini Quilt Advent. It was designed as a fabulous square up ruler, and it's that beautiful pale pink. So this is our 5-inch square up ruler that we can use for squaring up all of our blocks. Or if you want that splurge, you can go with the glow ruler for squaring up your blocks. We also know that we're going to need a rotary cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and change out the blade on this rotary cutter because I don't know the last time I did that, so that means she probably needs to be replaced. If you've been around here for a while, you've probably heard me talk about how a dull rotary blade is actually more dangerous than a sharp rotary blade. I've got my dull blade case here. I always put my dull blades in a case that says dull blades, and once this case doesn't have any blades in it anymore, then this becomes my new dull blade case. Any surgeon will tell you that a dull blade is more dangerous than a sharp blade because a dull blade leaves a cut that is more jagged, which means that it won't stitch up as nicely and it won't heal as nicely. I'm going to double check just by pinching between my fingers here to make sure that this is just one blade before I set it on here. And then I'm going to carefully realign these from the center and put them back in my case. There we go. A dull blade is also more dangerous because you need more force to be able to cut with a dull blade. So if you're going to push down harder, you're going to have less control because your control is going into the force rather than being able to actually control your rotary cutter. So you're more likely to cut yourself, and that cut is less likely to heal as nicely if you use a dull blade. So prepping our rotary cutter and having that ready to go. Another great tip as we prep for starting the Mini Quilt Advent next week is to make sure we have fresh bobbins. I like having a bunch of bobbins all wound and ready to go, and I do this for whenever I start a project. So starting a new project, get those bobbins wound and ready, and make sure you have fresh thread. It doesn't need to be a fresh spool, but thread that's ready to go on your sewing machine. If your sewing machine hasn't been serviced in a while, the week before is not a great time to service your machines, but I can't tell you how often I've had it where I need to start big projects and I haven't had my machine serviced in a while, and my machine is not going to be able to do their best if it's been years since the last service. So make sure that you check with your local sewing machine repair shop about when you need to get your machine serviced. Generally speaking, it's about once a year. And that way you can have a machine that is ready to go and ready to work with you on any project. Now we also want to make sure that we have all of the other things we're going to need. If we like pinning, and then we'll want our pins. We might want to clean off our workspace and make sure that it's ready for the tools and supplies that we need. We might want to clear off our design wall to make sure that it's ready for any blocks that we're going to put up there. Anything that you need to get in the game. This could also include snacks. Maybe you want certain snacks or drinks to keep you company while you're working. Figure out what show you're going to watch, or what book you're going to have in your earbuds, or what YouTube channel you're going to watch while you are working on your project. These are all great things to consider before we dive headfirst into a new project. Friends, those are my prep tips for getting started on any new project. Make sure to leave your tips down below, because I'm sure I missed some and you have some great ideas as well. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have so much quilty fun coming your way. Yes, we're a week out from the Mini Quilt Advent, but that means we're also a week out from the ridiculous opening of the Advent calendars, which you absolutely want to be here for, and so much more quilty fun. That's it for today, my friends. I will see you right here real soon. Bye for now.